Good morning, kids, and let's start understanding about connective tissue. The characteristic feature of this connective tissue is the cells are widely spaced, and the space between the cells is actually occupied by the matrix. The matrix, which can be in liquid state or in solid. If it is in liquid state, it takes the shape of blood, and if it is in solid state, it takes the shape of bones, cartilage. Very good morning to everybody. And let's start understanding. We'll write a little bit about all these headings. The cells of connective tissue are loosely spaced loosely spaced and embedded in an loosely spaced and embedded in an intercellular matrix. That matrix, the filler substance, intercellular between the cells. Between the cells. The matrix may be jelly-like, the matrix may be jelly-like, fluid, dense, or rigid. This we are going to read, of course. It is rigid in case of bones, fluid in case of blood, and of course jelly-like almost. We are going to understand a bit about it in the other tissues, connective tissues. But basically we will be dealing with fluid and the dense matrix. What I would expect is, I want you to label these paragraphs. These paragraphs are not labeled in your NCERT text. They have not segregated them. If you are holding the new book, this way, please label right from top the first paragraph as A, which corresponds with the diagrams of blood cells. This I am talking about the new book. I will be telling you about the old book also, the page of which I will be sharing now. And the second paragraph you may label as B, because it talks all about bones, and this is the diagram for bones. Then they are talking about cartilage, which you are supposed to leave one more paragraph. That means first, second, third paragraph you are supposed to leave, and the fourth paragraph you label as C. There we have the details of cartilage. Next paragraph we have the details of areolar connective tissue, D, and E is adipose connective tissue. Before studying anything in the syllabus, we should know the exact, you can say, the skeleton of the study material. For example, here we have this page if I have the old book, this particular paragraph speaks about blood. And the diagram of blood given here is the E diagram. So please label this paragraph as E, this blood paragraph as E. Next paragraph is about bone. You are going to label this paragraph of bone as C, because this diagram speaks about bones. Then you are going to leave this paragraph, the third one. The fourth paragraph you are going to label as for cartilage. Cartilage. And the cartilage is this D diagram. Next is areolar. Areolar and adipose. Areolar connective tissue is this A. Adipose is this B. So label your page as per it is given. Maybe the old one or the new one, the paragraphs are same. This written matter has not got changed, but there is a variation in the number given to the diagrams. Now let's continue understanding the first type, that is about the blood. Let's see what we need to understand about the blood. Blood basically is fluid connective tissue, and we have covered about blood that blood basically carries all the good things and the bad things, meaning digested food, amino acids, glucose, water, and of course the waste products like those of urea. Transportation is one of the major factors responsible. But as far as the components are concerned, blood contains plasma, the liquid part, which transports the dissolved substances in it. It has RBC, WBC, blood platelets. RBCs, red in color, and these cells have a tendency to transport oxygen. WBC, white blood cells. These cells are responsible for fighting against infection. Then you are talking about platelets. That means these cells are responsible for clotting of the blood. So if I am given this question in the exam, write down the function of blood. Then first and the foremost, of course, transportation of all these substances. And as far as the other cells are concerned, you are going to write the function of those cells as the function of blood. First, transportation of glucose, amino acid, urea. Transportation of oxygen, we are recalling for RBC. Second point, if I am writing fighting against infection, that means I am writing the function of WBC. Clotting of blood is also the function of blood itself. And last but not the least, temperature regulation. Meaning, if you want to find out the temperature of your body, it remains all the way same. Whether you measure the temperature from your head, from your palm, from your underarm, from keeping it below the tongue. Temperature, if your body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, if you are normal, it is going to be 37 degrees Celsius throughout the body. And how is it possible? For example, one part of my body is working very hard. I have eaten food, and my stomach is working very hard to digest it right now. My small intestine is on job. That means the temperature of these two organs should be more than the others? No. The blood is circulating all over the body continuously, taking the heat with it. Now let's understand the science behind it. For example, in latest model of buildings, how do they keep the buildings cool? They have this network of pipeline between the two walls of the building, and in those pipelines, water will keep on circulating day and night, giving a cooling effect, a total cooling effect to the building. That means if one flat was releasing more amount of heat, the pipelines that will pass through it, they will carry the heat and they are going to take it down to the other part. And there the water keeps on circulating, keeping the uniform temperature in the whole building. Same is the function of blood. The blood is flowing through the brain all over the body and it is exchanging the heat. If some part of the body is heated more, it is going to take that heat. Why is it so? Why are we correlating with thermoregulation of blood with that of water? Because blood is basically water. Around 90% of it is water. Certain things dissolved in it. And if I, as a child of 9th standard, want to understand the structure of the blood will be liquid, that is water, with some stones, some small pebbles in it that are moving round and round day and night. If we see the small sample of blood kept in the pathology lab here itself in our hospital, if we happen to go there and we cross that path lab, and if we can open the door and have a look at the samples they have kept in front of that, they will have all the liquid on the top, pale yellow color liquid, that is plasma, and only one small layer at the base of it. That small layer actually carries all the cells, RBCs, WBCs, platelets. Now before I go write for this blood on the board, one simple thing, why the blood appears red? Of course we know the answer, due to the presence of RBC. But there are WBCs also. And why the blood is not white in color? Reason. These red blood cells, they are present in around, if you take up 1 cc of blood, 1 cc, a small unit, if in general terms you want to understand, let's take the example of 1 ml. Same way, comparatively we are taking 1 cc, 1 cubic centimeter. If 1 cc of blood we are taking, in that there are around 4 to 5 million, I repeat, 4 to 5 million RBCs. Now, if you have a sample of liquid in front of you, wherein you have small dots, 4 to 5 million all together in small space filled in, automatically that will appear as red only. And if you are comparing the number with that, 4 to 5 million RBC, and WBC 4 to 5,000 only. So let's see the figure, the difference in the number. Number does matter. So therefore the blood appears red in color. Let's go ahead and write a little bit about what we just covered. The structure of blood and its function. In some of the book you will see it as, like in our textbook also it is written as red blood corpuscles. As a 9th standard child, of course, I must be knowing about this name. Corpuscles, either you call them as red blood cells or red blood corpuscles. Both the ways it is the same. Okay, it means the same. So the structure of the blood, we are going to begin with the first connective tissue, that is blood, and I am writing them as per the basis of the latest edition of the textbook. I am labeling it as A, that is blood. What all does it have? It has, of course, basically plasma. Its structure. That is the fluid matrix. We call them as corpuscles. Now, how will I remember its spelling? Just like the right for muscle, okay. Same way, the last spellings are almost the same. Corpus cells, you can say. That way you are going to remember it. Okay. RBCs, then white blood cells or cells, platelets, of course, for the clotting of the blood. Plasma contains proteins, hormones, let's write about its function, that is more important. See, it's like a favorite most question I'm telling you kids. That will be of, say for example, 3 marks in your exam. Okay, 3 marks it is going to, that this question is going to appear in the exam for us. You are supposed to write down the components of the blood and the function. So the function, of course, first and the foremost is transportation. And whenever I am writing for transportation, I am going to keep in mind that transportation of good and bad. Gases, gases means wood and CO2. Digested food means amino acids, glucose, fatty acids. Alright. Then after that, hormones and waste products. Hormones, one or two examples we can take up here. For example, insulin and waste. In human body, the basic waste is urea. So this is the first function of transportation. Second function, in our book they have given only one, but blood performs more than one function. It provides, its function is of course to provide immunity, the ability to fight against infection, and of course the third one is blood clotting is also the function of blood only. If you see, I just wrote the function of RBC here, then I wrote the function of WBC here, the function of platelets, and of course, last but not the least, thermoregulation. Thermoregulation or the regulation of, if you cannot remember this term in the exam, regulation of temperature in body is okay. Regulation of temperature, body. So what we just wrote is exact question for 3 marks. And after this, let's understand the diagram. The diagram of the blood cells. Here we have different types of cells they have given. Red blood corpuscle. Definitely we know about RBC that they are the smallest cells in human body. Smallest cell. And then we have white blood cells of different types. This has been divided on the basis of the stain they are taking. If they are taking a basic stain, we call it as basophil. If they are neutral, and if they are taking another strain, eosinophil. And of course, they will be having lymphocyte and monocyte also. All these 5 are the different types of WBCs, white blood cells. And platelets again. So 3 types of blood cells are clearly visible to us in the diagram. RBC, then these 5, WBC and the platelets. I would expect you to draw this diagram. As per this diagram of the latest edition, you are supposed to write down this notes that I had mentioned on the board right now, and then you are supposed to draw the diagram of types of blood cells. You are supposed to, after this, draw the diagram of types of blood cells. Which in the new book is mentioned as 6.10E. 6.10E. This is the old edition, and in new edition it is mentioned as 6.10A. Either it is E or it is the A diagram. Please draw the diagram of the blood cells only after this paragraph. And now we are going to understand, after understanding about blood, we are going to understand a very, very interesting connective tissue, that is about bones. And we are going to deal with the second and the third paragraph given on the page. Let's understand here an interesting aspect. Once we are talking about bones, in bones also, because bone is a connective tissue, so again the cells will be far away from each other, and the cells are far away from each other, and the matrix is filled. Here the matrix is cement-like. Cement-like, and the compound is actually made up of calcium and phosphorus. Calcium and phosphorus all together form a compound named as calcium phosphate. It is a strong, sturdy material which keeps the bone very hard. And bones, of course, they form the framework of the body. That means, as per the bones only, the structure of a body will be defined. So that is what we call as framework. For example, if I want to make a rectangular room, I have to keep rectangular iron rods. If I want to create a dome shape, like it is there in some of the theaters, art labs, then in that case the structure of the iron rods will be that only. In humans, the hands, the body, the skull, the face, everything it will be projected as the structure of bones inside the body. So therefore we use one term, kids, that the term is framework. It provides the framework, of course, supports the organs. It supports the organs also, forms the framework. And now let us understand. You know, if my kids, some of us have not written this, please take a screenshot. We need to write a bit faster because now we are in 9th standard. And let's understand. In 1 minute of time, I'm going to rub this. Please take a screenshot. I repeat again, kids. Let's understand as far as bones are concerned. There is a favorite question of 2 marks. And the question asks about ligament and tendon. I want you people to do as I am checking. The diagram I just told you, the diagram number is 6.10, and in that they have labeled as A, B, C, D, E. In the old books, the blood cells are labeled as E, but in the latest edition, it is labeled as A. So whatever the labeling is there, but they have mentioned very clearly different types of blood cells. And that diagram you are supposed to draw, I just indicated a moment ago. No harm in repeating again. Try to be attentive in the class, kids. This diagram I'm talking about. Red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets. And now we are focusing on these cells. This C diagram and the D diagram. That is the bone cells and the cartilage cells. Well, of course, let's understand, as I was telling you, that I am going to try to do that. I am going to remember the concept of ligament and tendon, keeping in mind my hand. Now, if I'm keeping it this way, it is forming an L shape. This L shape, one bone connected to another bone with the help of ligament. It's a favorite question of 2 marks, has been asked n number of times in the examination. I repeat again. This shape of the hand indicates L shape. Why I am giving you this thing, this mantra why I am giving you? Because kids know about ligament and tendon. And while writing the differences, they alter the differences. They write the concept for ligament under tendon, and for tendon they write under ligament. Then the whole of the question goes wrong. Whenever there is a confusion, sitting in the exam hall itself, you can make out that yes, this was my L shape and this L was related with ligament. Ligament means one bone to another bone. So this connective tissue ligament joins bone to bone. And if it is joining one bone to another bone, definitely there is supposed to be flexibility, then only you can move the 2 bones. I just gave you 2 points of differences. The first point, ligament connects bone to bone and ligament is flexible. If we have understood the 2 points of ligament, opposite to ligament will be that for tendon. Tendon is the connective tissue which binds muscles to bones, binds them. Muscles to bones. Now, common sense. If I'm sitting right now, I'm teaching you, you are sitting and you are walking or running, it doesn't happen that my muscle run away. They move out of the bones. They don't do that. Muscles are tight, very tightly tied to the bones. That means the flexibility of tendon is very less, scanty, very little. Let me recall both the differences again for all of us, for you, for me. 1. Ligament joins bone to bone. First point. Second, it is a flexible tissue. Opposite to these 2 points for tendon. Tendon joins bone to muscle. Bone to muscle. Second, ligament is flexible, but tendon is not flexible. 2 points of differences and a 2-mark question. We have understood about bones and we are going to write about bones, the structure, the function, the diagram of it we are going to understand in tomorrow's lecture. And yes, of course, we are going to write about tendon and ligament. My request to you people is that please try to read these two and try to go through the diagram. Before I could culminate or end up the session of the day, my request to you once again is please try to attend the classes regularly, and the assignments which are posted, please make a single PDF out of it, one PDF, and upload it in time. Thank you kids. Happy learning. Stay blessed. Bye beta.